It's Billy Brandt, whose rootsy, folky, psychedelic, alternative country background underpins strong songwriting and an adventurous spirit. Let's join him as he talks about his work and performs live with one of his bands, the Sugarees.
We'll keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. 'Cause this old world, it's almost.
There's an amazing roots folk revival scene in Michigan. It's one of the best in the country, one of the best in the world. There's just unbelievable musicians happening in this genre. Perfect example of why I got into music and why it is transcendent, and I use that word, not loosely. I remember being in the back seat of my parents' country squire station wagon. The radio would be on, and I remember hearing either California Dreamin' by the Mamas and Papas or Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds, and it set off some endorphins in my little head that I hadn't experienced yet, and I was like, wow. What's that? Give me a piece of it. So started learning to play the guitar, started playing those songs. The music took me to a place that was better than any place I'd been yet.
Hey, now, watch the sun go down. Watch the sun go down on me.
I ended up in the merchandising business. I was an official merchandiser for 38 Special, Hall & Oates, Spyra Gyra, Marshall Tucker, dozens of others. And then after I left that job is when I started playing, which is 1985. I came back to Detroit from living in New York, and that's when I started playing in bands. And Ashcan Van Gogh is the band I formed then. We played a lot. We were an original folk rock band, which I should say, I've been playing folk rock music from the get-go. I've been a folk singer, and when you add bass and drums to folk music, it's folk rock.
Well, the wind brings the stories, I sing them out to you with this old voice and this old guitar.
It's music you can play on a guitar, on an acoustic guitar, you know, anywhere. Pick up a guitar and you got music. Plus music, folk music is folks music. It's really the main music. It's for everybody. It's beautiful, it's got soul, it tells stories.
Well, there's rain in the mountains, it's getting harder to stand. Rain in the mountains, getting harder to stand.
All my stuff, and this is just how I am. I wish I could write a better story song, and a few come up every now and then. It has to come from my subconscious. I can't sit down with a piece of paper and write a lyric. It happens now and then, but most of the time I'm playing chords, and some words will come, I'm on the way, and just I'll even make sounds, because the words aren't coming out of my subconscious yet. So I'll just make syllabic sounds, like syllables, till a word comes. Maybe a few words come. Maybe it's a sentence. Sentence sounds good in the music that I'm playing. That's the beginning. If I can get one verse out, I'll write it down. Then I got a form. Hopefully a chorus, then we're really cooking with gas. And usually it's gonna be something that's probably happening in my life. Or maybe it's not even as clear as that. It might be more kind of oblique looking. But you'll hear it and go, I know just what he means. And I don't even know what I mean. I might later, maybe next year I might know. It's not, because it's not just about songwriting for me. It's about the musicianship too.
Don't let your demons bring you down.
The Sugarees, my current project, actually started as the videos I did with Serrano Berlin and Jason here. We called them Live from Billy's Basement. Well, we ended up with a lot of material, put a record out called Live from Billy's Basement, which won the Detroit Music Award twice, by the way. The band, we just started calling the Basement Band. And we did some shows. Eventually Serrano moved to England, and I wanted to keep the music going with that basic lineup. That's what Sugarees are. It's a leftover from the Basement Band. The Basement Band was always song-based, but poised to be a jam band. There's something that happens when you're actually jamming too, because it's a big portion of what the Sugarees do. It's a major portion of it. The song is just the launching pad. When that happens, this happens with the players and the audience. a synchronicity that see, the thing about jamming, it's not all planned out. It's not an arrangement. It might become an arrangement, but it starts as something, a risk. You got a basic chord scheme, that's sort of the foundation. And then people start making their statement. The mandolin player plays a lick, and the organ player hears it and answers it. And when that communication starts, and because different than normal verbal communication, well, if we're both talking at once, which we do a lot when we get excited, it doesn't really serve anything. In music, it does. You can overlap each other harmonically, chordally, and you're just building the concept, the idea. It's really happening. All of a sudden, everyone's talking at once. What an amazing miracle. There's a song called The Lash. That song is a cool folk rock song, but it's designed to have a real spacey open jam that builds and builds and builds, then goes back to that dripping wind across a meadow exit out to sea. That's one of the songs that I really love to keep performing. And the lash is falling down. And the lash is falling down over me. Favorite songs on the new Sugaree's album and our live show. There's only one song like this on our record called Days of Fadin'. It's sort of Celtic rock, but it's got a real good bounce to it. And Celtic music is an amazing thing. It's got a dancey feel to it. I mean, the fiddles, the mandolins, it's got a real upbeat, it's a beautiful thing. And I like incorporating it when I can. That's one of my favorite songs on the record. On the right, they're on the left, they're closing in on us. Can't believe we buy the stuff that's burning in our guts. A friend of mine, Maureen Hogan, wrote this song called Blue Baby Blue. Real kind of traditional old school country song. I kind of finished it off with a bridge and we put it on the record and it ended up sounding really, really good. I'm so blue, baby blue, I'm all so blue, baby blue, trying to stop this baby blue tears from crying. But I also wanted to be the birds and the hollies on this record, so singing became a real important thing. It's always been important to me. Time Is Now, Sun Goes Down. They're all heavy vocal songs and on purpose. So sing those blues, you don't own those shoes. I know times are rough, you can make it smooth. But time for love, let your heart sing out. There's a time for peace, and the time is now. Our live performances, on a good day, is really great. It's a really way above average vocal performance, full of good harmonies that we can pull off, but we can also jam. If the music kind of flips the door open, then I know it's right for me. It gets my endorphins going, it gets my emotions open. If it moves me and it moves you, it's a victory. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning, 'cause this old world, it's so
You can learn more about Billy Brandt as well as all the artists we feature on DetroitPerforms.org.